If you look at the companies that are the most volatile, they're up the most. If you look at the companies that have negative earnings, they're up the most. If you look at companies that are highly shorted, they're up the most. So there's a very speculative tone to this market, and it feels typical like what it would normally feel like after a recession is over and you have a V-shaped bounce off of the bottom. It would almost seem as if the market is saying, and you talked about, this soft landing or no landing scenario, as if the market is totally bought into this, and that's what's driving this upside. And we believe that you're going to see no recession this year, but we also believe that the market is ahead of itself with a lot of these speculative names.
Well, then talk to us about what you need to see to perhaps have a little bit more conviction in that kind of trade. I mean, I think it's not a secret that when small caps bottom first, large caps will ultimately follow. And there is a consensus that perhaps the Russell 2000 has already done that. Jonathan, what signals are you looking for to say this is going to stick around?
Yeah, I'm not trying to build an optimistic scenario for the market. I'm trying to discount what I'm seeing and what's driven the market since really October is a few things. One is inflation has been steadily falling, and that will continue to be the case. But the expectation for where inflation settles out a year from today has jumped a lot in the last 3 or 4 weeks, partially because of some of this news flow, like you and Abby were talking about before. So number one is the falling inflation has been drawing people in. The second is with the consumer this strong, the likelihood of a recession is really falling very fast, and that has drawn people back into the market. And even if the Fed moves in May, people can see a point where the Fed is going to pause, and that's drawing people in. The problem is that the labor market is still super tight, and that means that the inflation issue is not going to go away unless the Fed gets rougher on the economy. And right now, it's the market's not discounting that as a potential outcome. So the markets are really optimistic about how this thing plays out, and it's hard to see with this much entrenched labor inflation that the Fed's going to just is going to allow this to continue on.